Hello my friends and welcome to another whiskey review with me, the Whiskey Novice. Thank you for joining me. We are still on Islay. We were on Islay the last time, and we're looking at a Lagavulin, the 2023 Distillers Release, Special Release, whatever you want to call it. This is the one every year Diageo, the Diageo distillery group, or Diageo as a group, will put out distillery releases from X amount of their distilleries. Lagavulin's usually one of them. And this was the 2023 released. I'll get in there now. I think it's 56.4% ABV. I'm going to say non-chill filter, no colour added. This one finished in Don Julio tequila casks. And given that Diageo owned Don Julio, was just them experimenting a little, giving it a little go with something. So that's pretty much the bare bones of it. Let's just get in, shall we? And then we'll talk a little more about this after the review. It's a typical, I'm going to suggest straight away, sort of typical Lagavulin, in that I always get Lagavulin tropical notes, tropical fruit notes. Pineapple's always one that I get with Lagavulin. Yeah, it's very much pineapple there at the start. There's an earthy peatiness hanging about. Of course, Lagavulin, for anybody new to whiskey, Lagavulin a peated malt. The peat's definitely there. It's smoky. It's barbecued pineapple, which could be said of an awful lot of Lagavulins. I wouldn't suggest that high ABV is offending the nose much. It's actually sitting quite well. And I would even go as far as to say that there are some slight vegetative agave like tequila notes hanging about there, and really all they're doing is balancing it out. Nothing is overruling. Yeah, clean, slightly dry, fresh, sweet, bittersweet delivery. Yet again, sort of fairly typical Lagavulin. There's nothing really out of the ordinary. A lot of what I said in the nose, those slight vegetative agave tequila notes, are there. Some lovely sweet smoke. It's not so earthy as it was in the nose. Yet again, plenty of tropical fruit, pineapple, maybe even hints of kiwi. And a good palate, as I said, a slightly dry thing. And that slight dryness hangs about in the back of the palate, but it's a good finish. Good long finish. Smokiness, yes, but not dirty smokiness, not earthy smokiness, not even clean smoke. It's more about that barbecued pineapple once again. It's that sort of smoky element, I would suggest. Touch of water to this, and you'll turn up the fruitier notes. The smokiness does hang about a bit in the back, but it's good. It's a good thing. Once again, high ABV doesn't bat at that height. It's this sort of, I would suggest, is easy drank for something of that high ABV. Right. That's pretty much your whiskey here. A good whiskey. I paid £50 for this bottle. All of a sudden, and I don't care what anybody says, price has to come in my opinion. I do not give a damn what you think, and I apologise for that, but price has to come into it. At £50, this steps up from good to great, because it was a good whiskey anyway, but it all of a sudden you go, well, I only paid £50 for it. If this was £50 all the time, it's a great whiskey. it's 56.4%. It's, I reckon, non-chill filler, no colour added. Brilliant, outstanding. 12 years old, comes with the age statement. This was retailing at £150 a bottle. Now then, at £150, in my opinion, it stops being a great whiskey. It goes back to being a good whiskey. It goes, actually, I would nearly take a level down and go, it's somewhere between all right and good. It is a good whiskey. But I just think that price has to play into it. And sometimes something, in my opinion, is overpriced. And once again, it doesn't matter how much you're worth. If you're worth billions, it doesn't change the fact that whiskies, in some cases, are overpriced. Because who's benefiting from it, really? Somebody is just skimming off the top and laughing at us then for paying so much money, or too much money in some cases, for a whiskey. It's something I feel very, very personal about, something I feel very, very strongly about. And I know that, and I don't saw it, the only way to do it is to mention the Macallan word, that Macallan are a good example. They're not the only one that I think they overcharge for their whiskey, and they're not alone, but I just think that price has to come into it, and there has to be a balance between the whiskey itself and the price that it's put out at. I think it's something that all producers should look into, and I just look at it whenever I see, and I'm not going to name any producers here, but when I have a good whiskey at a good price, it makes it a better whiskey. If it's an average whiskey at a high price, it makes that whiskey worse than average, in my opinion. I'll walk away from that. Yeah, it's a touchy subject. So then, what would I suggest as an alternative? Well, this is a bit difficult, because this is probably going to become a harder bottle to find, especially from 2023. I mean, we've already had the 2024 special release by this point as well. So I'm going to actually suggest a bottle which is probably harder to find, much harder to find. And it's the best Lagavulin I've ever had, the 2018 Jazz Fest release. I had it at a festival. I've only ever had one dram of this stuff, but it blew my mind. Easily the best dram of that festival, and it was the best Lagavulin I've ever had. It's changing hands on auctions now for silly prices, but it was a great Lagavulin. And I'm sort of just saying here, this is a sort of standalone. This 2023 special release is a bit of a standalone Lagavulin. The Jazz Festival edition, that 2018 Jazz Festival, is even more standalone. But I'm just saying, I've got a lot of time for Lagavulin. Diageo do like to charge quite a lot for their whiskies in some cases, but give Lagavulin a chance. And I'm going to suggest that if you see a bargain like that, snap it up. Do not just go, well, I'm not, it's Diageo, I don't care. Is it a lost leader? Is it somebody's still making out of it? Sarah, just snap it up. As a matter of fact, buy a couple, because you're still saving money, is what I would suggest. I'm going to leave it there before I say something I regret. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much to my patrons. Should anybody wish to show the channel a little support and join that group, the details are in the video description below. I'll be back the next time, and I hope you can join me. Until then, look after yourselves. Here's to your good health. Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.